Good afternoon. I want to welcome Planning Commission members, staff, and guests to the February 2026 Planning Commission meeting. Multiple staff members are here today to ensure that the meeting runs smoothly and that all applicants and members of the public are able to participate in the meeting at the appropriate times.
If you're here today and would like to speak about a case, please provide your name clearly into the microphone, and please be sure to sign in, either at the back of the room or at the podium for documentation purposes. If you're here today to speak about a case, you must speak up when the chairperson calls for public comment. I'll go ahead and call the roll. Mr. Cook?
Here.
Mr. Foster? Mr. Holcomb?
Here.
Mr. Osorio?
Here.
And Mr. Cohn.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, I'll give a brief overview of the meeting format. Applicants with requests before the Planning Commission are allotted a presentation time of 10 minutes. This time should include, but is not limited to, an overview of the project, case history, and any pertinent meetings held regarding the request. The time also includes all persons presenting information on behalf of the applicant, such as attorneys, engineers, and architects. The time limit does not include any questions asked by the Planning Commission or staff members regarding the request. During the public comment period, members of the general public will be given the opportunity to address their concerns in intervals of 2 minutes. And after the public comment period, applicants will have 5 minutes to respond. The administrator has a timer and will make presenters aware of when their time has expired, and the Planning Commission reserves the right to amend these procedures on a case-by-case basis. And are there any changes to the agenda?
We do have a couple of changes. First, case number 6, which staff had placed on the consent agenda. We have received a lot of comments from the public about that case, so we're requesting that that be moved to the regular agenda. And then, just to clarify, that's SPLAT-2026-0003 at Southridge Way. And then on the regular agenda, case number 7, SPLAT-2025-0080, the applicant is deferring that case for today. Other than that, the agenda still stands.
All right. Can I get a motion from a member of the commission to remove case number 6 from the consent agenda to the regular agenda, and then we'll also include deferring case number 7 on the which is the first case on the regular agenda?
Mr. Chair, I move that we move item 6 on the consent agenda, SPLAT-2026-003 at Southridge Way, TMS 288-000103 to the regular agenda.
All right, I've got a motion to move case number 6 on the consent agenda to the regular agenda. Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Do we need a motion for taking 7 off for deferral?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
So give a brief overview of the consent agenda process. The Planning Commission uses the consent agenda to approve non-controversial or routine matters by a single motion and vote. Examples of such items include site plans, annexations, and street names. If a member of the Planning Commission or the general public would like to discuss an item on the consent agenda, you must speak up after the consent agenda is read. Then that item may be removed from the consent agenda and considered on the regular agenda during the meeting. The Planning Commission then approves the remaining consent agenda items. Would you please start with the consent agenda? Thanks.
Certainly. The first item on the consent agenda is to approve the January 15th, 2026 minutes. The second case on consent is under future land use and zoning map amendment for a pending annexation, and that's Annex-2026-0001, 450 and 460 Lake Murray Boulevard. Request recommendation on the assignment of the land use classification of Urban Edge Regional Activity Center, UEAC2, and the assignment of zoning of mixed-use district MU2 for a pending annexation. The property is currently classified as neighborhood, medium density, and zoned homestead, HM, and residential transition by Richland County. The next case on consent is a future land use map amendment. This is LUMA-2026-0001, 1227 and 1235 Bakersfield Road, 106, 112, 118, 119, 130, 131, and 140 Diamond Lane, and 1049 to 1057 and 1065 Statler Road. Request recommendation on the confirmation of future land use classifications of Urban Core Community Activity Center, UCAC2, and Urban Edge Residential Large Lot, UER2. The properties are currently assigned interim future land use classifications of UCAC2 and UER2. The next case on consent is a zoning map amendment, ZMA-2025-0021. This is 1227 and 1235 Bakersfield Road, 106, 112, 118, 119, 130, 131, and 140 Diamond Lane, and 1049, 1057, 1065 Statler Road. Request recommendation on the confirmation of zoning of Community Activity Center Corridor District, CAC, and Residential Single Family Large Lot District, RSF1. The properties are currently assigned interim zoning of Community Activity Center Corridor District, CAC, and Residential Single Family Large Lot District, RSF1. And case number 5 is ZMA-2026-0002, 150 Dutchman Boulevard, 5.71 acres on the north side of Lake Murray Boulevard, 3.56 acres and 0.52 acre on the south side of Ride River Road. Request recommendation to rezone the properties from light industrial and planned development to mixed-use district MU2. And that concludes the consent agenda today.
Thank you. Are there any commission members who would like a case removed from the consent agenda for the rate and move to the regular agenda? All right. Are there any members in the public that would like to discuss any of the other remaining cases on the consent agenda being moved to the regular agenda? Okay. Seeing none, we'll take a motion for the approval of the January minutes and the February consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the January, what day is it?
January 15th.
I apologize. The January 15th minutes after moving item 6 down to the regular agenda, along with the remaining items on the consent agenda.
Got a motion? Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. All right, we will review the case number 6 that was moved from the consent agenda to the regular agenda.
That takes us to S-Plat 2026-0003, 2.60 acres, Southridge Way, TMS number 288000103. This 2.6 acre parcel is located at the corner of Commons Road and Southridge Way. The proposed subdivision will contain 12 single-family attached residences with an average lot size of 4,940 square feet. A portion of the site will be preserved as open space and sidewalks will be provided along Southridge Drive and Commons Road. This project is in the Wood Creek Farms Plan development, and the sketch plan approval is not required. And should the commission be inclined to grant approval of the site plan, of the preliminary plat, staff would request that the commission grant it with staff comments. The applicant is present and can explain their case.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? Thank you. Good afternoon.
Hi, I'm Madison Pickrell, and I'm kind of losing my voice, so if I need to speak up, just let me know. So, as you can see, we have 12, we're calling them duplex units. We had actually originally got this approved as townhome units, and we had 18. We decided to come back in, made the lots a little bit bigger, shrunk down, lessened the density, and we actually shifted it up closer to the commercial property. This is actually surrounded completely by commercial property, right down the road from the new Publix, the new Food Lion. And then there's commercial shopping centers, a daycare, QT, Shell, and it's right off of Spears Creek Church Road. It does have wetlands behind it and wetlands to the side and a creek that we've shifted away from. And then on the flip side of those wetlands, there is residential neighborhoods, one in Wood Creek Farms, and then behind on the other side of the wetlands is Liberty Ridge, which is another like patio home community, and they also have a townhome section. I've seen the complaints, what people are concerned about. I think a big concern is traffic in the area. And then property values, I can't really speak on that. I disagree, but the traffic is absolutely gotten worse. The bridge is out in Wood Creek Farms, scheduled to be repaired hopefully this year by the City of Columbia. And then, of course, we all know that Spears Creek Church Road is supposed to be widened here, hopefully soon. We all know that that kind of work is difficult, hard to get permitted, get everybody on board. I know that, like I said, traffic is like what everybody always comes back to. Personally, we decreased density. I don't think that 12 units are going to significantly increase the traffic. We've added a stoplight on Spears Creek Church Road. We did 2 phases of road improvements to Spears Creek Church Road already. And like I said, we decreased the units, we moved the drives together to create less drives, made the lots a little bit bigger. The hope is to have a higher end duplex product here to kind of try to get like that city feel, but you're not in the city, but you are in a more like commercialized area of the Northeast Columbia. Think it'll be unique to the area and be something that people do really enjoy. Yeah, I don't really, it's just commercial property on one side and woods on the other, so don't know if there's any specific questions about the site plan.
Sorry, I might have missed it. Who'd you say you were with?
Interstate Associates, HV3 Development, we're the developer of the property, and we also own the property.
Okay, thank you.
Do all these driveways back onto,
They,
Southbridge
Southbridge Way.
okay.
That's a good question. Is Southbridge Way a state highway, or is it a city street or county street?
It's a city street. Southbridge Way only has the one curb cut you can see. And then on the other side of Southbridge Way is the old Verizon building that was then a Aesthetics Institute, and now Richland School District 2 owns it, and it backs up to the back of that building. So the only curb cut off of Spears Creek is Commons Road, which is a private drive that feeds the commercial property there. It's in a POA. And then Southbridge Way dead ends into Wood Creek Road, which you can see on the site plan there further down, like on the edge of the wetlands.
I'm just curious, was there I know it necessarily wasn't required, but was there any traffic study to determine the impact of people backing onto that corridor right there?
No, I mean, we've done a lot of traffic studies in the area. We did, recently we've done multiple different ones, like off Percival and then back in Wood Creek for different projects, but normally we don't have to do traffic studies for like 100 lots or less. And in some cases, it's 50 or less, so we just weren't anywhere near that requirement. And that intersection, Spears Creek Road and Southridge Way, has never dictated, has never flagged. Jacobs Mill Pond Road, well, I guess it's actually Liberty Ridge Drive, which is down, you can kind of see there's a traffic circle on the edge of the map there. We did a traffic study for a different neighborhood on the outskirts of Wood Creek Farms, which actually required us to relocate a road and do a swap with the DOT for some right-of-way. We built that traffic circle, we put in a stoplight, and like I said, we did 2 phases of road widening to Spears Creek Church Road. We also added a turn lane onto the interstate. And we've done extensive work to Spears Creek Church Road as a private developer, so, yes.
Yeah, quick question. So I'm just looking at the map here. I'm relatively familiar with the area. So the only way you're taking South Ridge off of Spears Creek if to go besides this potential development would be that little cluster of homes right there inside of Wood Creek. I'd imagine they're getting a lot more traffic because of that bridge being out going through that way.
Well, no, actually, because that Southridge Way leads to Wood Creek Road,
Yep.
which leads to Wood Creek Farms Road, and you only access, you can only access the Ridge, Southridge, and the
Yep.
Cottages, which the Cottages is less than 30 homes, the Ridge is probably less than 10 homes. And
Yeah, I
then,
suppose that's what I mean. Like
yeah,
if
they're
that,
low density, like I would say less than 75 homes, like in that one little area. Right now, I think people are feeling the heat of the bridge being out at Jacobs Mill Pond Road where it intersects with Spears Creek. It's a kind of wonky turn. There's no light there. It backs up really, coming and going from work or school traffic.
yeah.
Not really any other times of the day. And then I also feel like in the mornings at the stoplight at Spears Creek and Liberty Ridge Drive, it also backs up, but it's the right turn lane getting onto the interstate. People just stay in that right turn lane at the stoplight instead of getting in the second lane. And I drive it every day. I mean, when I say backs up, like I sit there for a few minutes, it's not fun sitting in traffic ever. But like, I don't feel like it's insane.
Understood. The reason why I mentioned that is I've been in Wood Creek Farms plenty of times and I didn't even know that road existed to get into the neighborhood. So
It would only be used if you lived right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, thanks.
And these people would have no reason to ever go further than their house because it would take longer to get, you would only go that way if you were like trying to avoid a wreck or something on Spears Creek because you could access the main entrance of Wood Creek that way.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other questions from commissioners?
Hey, good afternoon, Ms. Pickrell. Just out of curiosity, throughout this process, have you engaged any of the community organizations that are adjacent to this property?
So we've talked to the parcel across, the broker that was helping Richland School District 2. Obviously, they don't, really have a care about what happens right on the backside there, but their main entrance is in front of the other school. And then the commercial developers in that area are thrilled to, they base coming to our area based on density. So the more density they can see, the more people, the more, Publixes we can get, the more ice cream shops, everything that we've got out there now. So there's definitely been a lot of commercial growth specifically in the last 2 years, but they're all, the more people that live there, the more people that can support their businesses.
Oh, thanks. Follow-up question for staff. I know we didn't, I guess it wasn't required to have a traffic study done here. So what's, I guess, the requirement to have one? And then just looking at the different city reviewing agencies, I see that traffic engineering recommended it for approval. So I guess what was that recommendation based on?
They didn't require a traffic impact study, and they felt like they didn't require a traffic impact study, or they felt like the development warranted a traffic impact study. So they recommended approval.
And then what's the minimum, I guess, size of a project for it to require a traffic study?
That's going to be their requirement, but in this instance, they didn't require it.
Well, thanks.
So from my experience, and it's different like in Richland County or the city, and it's just DOT, but normally the cutoff is 100. I think maybe Richland County has scaled it back to 60 or 70 homes. And I think that Spears Creek in general has been a hard one for them because it was supposed to be widened already, and it's not. And I don't know where that stands. I know that there was right-of-way arguments and whatnot that were being still discussed and hopefully have been agreed upon so they can widen the road. Because they're supposed to take it all the way down to Two Notch, which is, well past this. And I think at that point, we won't have any traffic problems. But I would be very shocked, just from my experience with traffic studies, if Spears Creek Church Road at South Ridge Way warranted anything more than a stop sign. It takes a lot of like cars in the queue to warrant a stoplight, and if you don't hit that minimum, they won't accept any. It's like another safety thing from the DOT. So it's not my experience.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Was there ever an assignment of the type of use to go here in the PUD?
The uses, the PD zoning of that parcel is C1. So it's actually a commercial
That's what I thought.
C1.
Okay.
So just to clarify, to follow on that, so that means a more intensive use could be qualified here.
It could have been a, like, office building.
Sure, got it. Yeah, thank you.
What's the square footage of these units and what's your targeted sales price roughly?
So they are expected to be like 28 foot by 66 or so foot. That's the lot size. And then we've got 5 foot setback, so a little bit smaller than that. And I think that they're aiming to sell these like in the 3s and the 4s, trying to do something a little bit nicer.
I asked because that seemed to be a common concern in some of the public input. They were worried about maybe it not being in line with adjacent residential properties in terms of price
So
point and
the
stuff.
Southridge, which is the neighborhood right behind it, is a very nice neighborhood. It was built like probably 20 plus years ago. Probably every home in there is 500,000 plus. Really nice, really beautiful neighborhood. Liberty Ridge, which is the neighborhood that it most closely abuts. They're patio homes, they're starter homes, they're townhomes. These townhomes are selling in the mid-2s. When the patio homes were selling, they're sold out. I don't know like what real resale values are, but they were also all in the mid-2s. So, I feel like these are hitting kind of that middle ground. You can't sell a duplex, for $500,000+ likely, and not in a large city. So, like I said, trying to do a nicer product with that city feel, but that is affordable for people.
This property being commercial property essentially, did you guys ever look at doing some sort of neighborhood commercial development there and it didn't fit, or
Do you mean like,
something a little more commercial related with fewer driveways backing out into the street?
so we've done that whole section of property is zoned the C1. C1 though does constitute the residential, like specifically the attached, which is why we went that route. And we've put commercial on all the other pieces of property. So this was originally one large tract of land and we've subdivided it off. So in the last couple of years, we've added the QT, the Scoop of Heaven, a nail salon, a couple other parcels have sold to commercial developers that are are working on different deals to put there as well. And then a daycare. And we still have probably like 9 acres of commercial property left that's in between this and the daycare, which our hope is to get another commercial vendor, but not having frontage on Spears Creek, I think, is something that, commercial vendors want to have that frontage off your main road.
I'm thinking more neighborhood commercial, dentist office or,
We would love to have a dentist office. We've, we have it all listed and we've reached out, but that area just seemed like more conducive to also having like a more commercialized residential feel on that corner. We haven't looked at doing commercial on any of the other parcels out there. Or sorry, residential on any of the other parcels.
feels more commercial to me, but I don't live out in that area. It's just based on its proximity to Spears Creek Church Road. It seems like something a little more commercial related might be the better use, but, that's not for us to decide, so.
This is a question for staff. This is an allowable use in the commercial?
That is correct.
For that zoning?
Correct.
And to follow up on that, the city, DOT has standards for driveway separations that would make this type of development impossible at this location. The city does not have any of those guidelines, so the site plan's been approved by staff for all these driveways connections to this.
Correct. It's a city street. Street department has reviewed it and approved it, as well as traffic engineer has reviewed it and approved it.
Okay.
So, sorry to come back to my prior question, but was that use allowed in the commercial district because it was in the PD, or is that because it's allowed in that actual zoning class?
Hi, I'm Andrew Livingood, zoning administrator. So the plan unit development is a very large plan unit development, as you're aware, and there's a general development plan, and it does divide up different areas, and it uses classifications based off of an old Richland County zoning ordinance, and the C1 classification is an old office and institutional zoning classification, but that classification allowed, as it sounds, office uses, institutional uses such as schools or churches and things like that, but it also does allow and permit very specifically certain residential use types. So single-family detached and single-family attached, and so this would be a single-family attached product. That was anticipated in that plan unit development.
Thank you.
Follow-up question for staff. I know that this is a preliminary plot approval, but for major site plans, we typically have those like 5 standards that they need to meet in order for us to, I guess, I know the language says that we shall approve it. Are there any, is there any list of standards like that?
This is a plan unit development, and so the plan unit development preceded the current UDO, which those standards that you're referencing is in. So this is a plan unit development, so this is a little bit different than a major site plan outside of a plan unit development.
Okay, thanks.
I think we may have some more questions, but we've had a lot of comments from the neighbors or public, and just would like to kind of hear those out.
Okay,
And we'll be sure to circle back regardless.
sure.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak either for or against this application?
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I'll just also like to just read the names of the people who submitted emails, just so they understand that y'all received those. Just to acknowledge that these emails did come in for this case. So we had emails from Leslie Pample, Alicia McFarland, Cecil King, Douglas Fullerton, Esther Kim, Gary E. Bell, Enza Downing, Janice Roberts, Kevin Lundy, Knowlton Group, Pat Doyle, sorry if I mispronounce this, Rajinder Parmar. There was another email that did not have a name, just a resident, Stephen McFarland and Clayton Beck. You have most of those hard copies because they did come in later than we, sometimes get emails that we forward along to you all. So just wanted to acknowledge those for the record.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Morris Goins. I currently live in the Ridge, which is the home community right behind the old Verizon building. Not only do I live in the Ridge, but I'm also the president of Wood Creek Farms HOA. So personally, as a homeowner, I'm concerned about the development because right now, as I Googled through Zillow today, there's 18 lots inside of the Ridge, of which there's 13 homes on those 18 lots. 5 of those homes, and again, I just took a sampling, the cost, or according to Zillow, is $1.7 million per. That's the average of those 5 homes. And with those duplexes being constructed and being sold between $300,000 to $400,000, we're just concerned about property value in the Ridge. Not only property value, but we're also concerned about traffic flow. Currently, the causeway, which is the bridge, is out. Currently, with that bridge being out, traffic is being rerouted in other directions. When the bridge is working, this elementary school across the street from the Verizon building makes the parents turn right. With the parents turning right, that then drives a lot of traffic down South Ridge Way and then down through Wood Creek Farms roads. That currently does not take place because, again, the causeway is out. Not only is the causeway out, which then requires the diversion of traffic, but clearly with these homes and these duplexes coming in there, it is going to increase additional traffic in our neighborhood, not only in the Ridge and in South Ridge, but again, across the greater Wood Creek Farms as a whole. Not only are we concerned about the traffic on South Ridge, but also with that traffic going throughout Wood Creek Farms. Some of those roads belong to the city. Some of them are private roads, which we're trying to get turned over to the city. So there's a plethora of concerns about traffic throughout the greater Wood Creek Farms because, again, some belong to the city and some are private, which are not being maintained to the appropriate standard. And so, again, our position is we would prefer these not to be built. That's our perspective from the Ridge. And so, again, thank you for my time. And what's left over, I yield back to the board.
Thank you.
Yes, that's good afternoon. My name is Clayton Beck, and I wanted to start by saying thank you to all of you, the Planning Commission. Appreciate all that you would do here for the community, and thank you for giving us an opportunity to say something. I am also a resident of the Wood Creek Farms. I live very close to this proposed development that is before the commission. I also have the privilege of serving on the Wood Creek Farms HOA board as vice president. As you folks may know, the Wood Creek Farms community has about 1,150 homes or so. Wood Creek Farms is a premier residential community that is made up of 15 neighborhoods. Now, in particular, as the gentleman was saying, we have 2 neighborhoods within Wood Creek Farms that are extremely close to these duplexes that are being proposed. That the first neighborhood is called South Ridge. Again, it's part of Wood Creek Farms, and it's just a stone's throw away from where these duplexes are proposed to be built. The second neighborhood is called the Ridge. The previous gentleman lives there, and that's probably just a few hundred yards away, okay? And really, in terms of overall estimated home values in South Ridge, between South Ridge and the Ridge, on average, we probably current market values run anywhere on the low end, close to $1 million and upwards to $2 million, okay? So that's pretty much the market values of the homes. The concerns that we would like to share with you, and again, I can be brief here, but basically, we're concerned that the proposal of 12 duplex homes, which are being shoehorned into this very tight little parcel of ground there on South Ridge Way, will put downward pressure on the respective home values that we have. Like I say, that these two neighborhoods, premier neighborhoods, which would just be a stone's throw away from where these proposal buildings will be, and the other one is just a few hundred yards away. And so residents have expressed that this proposal that is before you folks, if allowed to proceed, will most probably have a negative effect on their home investment and just the overall desirability of the South Ridge and the Ridge neighborhoods. We are also concerned that the 12 duplexes, which will bring considerably more noise, congestion, and activity into our area. And frankly, I think the way to think about this is the bridge is just an isolated event. Traffic has continued to increase for the reasons the previous gentleman has noted. So there is a lot of traffic through there on just a pretty regular basis. And so adding these additional 12 duplexes will just add to that. That's the concern that we have. We're also concerned specific about the design of the duplexes, okay? As the units front the street, and again, they're kind of shoehorned into the street because a big section of that ground, that parcel, is really back behind, and there's a deep kind of ravine back there. So they're being shoehorned next to the street, and basically just add a lot of traffic and so on and so forth, noise and so forth. But the thing is, with the design specifically, is the driveways will go right to the street, and the garages open up to the street. So all of that fronts the street. And so what we've heard from our residents is that this is going to create, with open garage doors and everything else, as you can imagine, as you drive past the street or on that street, South Ridge Way, you're going to have garage doors open and everything else.
I have to get you to kind of,
Yeah. So we just don't want that to be an eyesore with the design of these units, okay? Because again, everything's going to open up to the street. The garage doors are going to be open to the street, so that we have concerns about that. So that we would kindly ask you to reconsider the duplex design, so that the garages and the driveways would not face the street as currently proposed. Should you ultimately decide to pass this proposal. So those are the concerns I wanted to share with you folks as members of the Planning Commission. So thank you for your time.
thank you very much.
Okay.
Excuse me, just one quick question for Mr. Beck. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Beck,
Yeah,
you
go
mentioned
ahead.
you were on the Wood Creek Farm Homeowners Association.
Yes.
Do you all meet regularly?
Yes, that we do. We meet. We meet on a regular basis. Yes.
And is it on a monthly basis? Do you happen to know?
Yeah. I mean that we meet.
How often?
We have quarterly meetings with our delegates and so on and so forth. But then we have working meetings. That we do.
You have to come to the microphone to speak.
Okay, yeah, let's,
I'm sorry.
thank you.
Thank you.
I think just to clarify the commission member's question, we were just trying to understand how often the board meets.
Oh, well, that we try to meet every 2 weeks, and then we have quarterly meetings with the delegates of the 15 neighborhoods. Yeah.
Thank you.
And then I do have one other question.
Sure.
Was anyone ever, given the opportunity to have input into this plan?
As far as I know, unless Mo, if you know, I know we were never given any input, and so, yeah.
I have a question as well.
Yeah, sure.
How would you respond to the developer's contention that there's already properties valued lower than their target selling point in the adjacent area?
Well, again, that the housing values, again, between the Ridge and South Ridge, again, low end are probably a little under $1 million, and they would go up to roughly $2 million. And so we're just worried that kind of shoehorning these 12 duplexes in, because like I say, it's just a stone's throw from South Ridge, and it's just a few hundred yards, say, I don't know, 400 or 500 yards, I suppose, down to the Ridge. So it's very close to our neighborhood. We're concerned about the noise, the traffic, all that's going to bring. And again, just having such a disparity between those kind of housing values and what we're going to see with these duplexes. Again, a lot of residents are just very concerned that It's just going to cause some
Thank you.
issues.
And none of those additional homes feed into the, I'm sorry. None of those homes feed in, none of those driveways feed into the Wood Creek Farms like that. That's the only one that would be applicable.
Is Southbridge a primary access into the neighborhood?
Yes. Well, you can come down Southwood, South,
Is it one of the primary entrances into the neighborhood?
so you come down that road there into South Ridge and or the Ridge where I live, or you come down the main Wood Creek Farms Road and turn right.
All right.
And come that way.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both. Are there any other? Yes, sir.
Hi, I'll make this quick. I'm Kevin Lundy. I'm also Wood Creek Farms resident and also a member of the board of directors of Wood Creek Farms Homeowners Association. Not a whole lot that I can add to what my colleagues have spoken before. I think the main concern that I've heard from residents that have reached out to me has been similar to the last points that Mr. Beck made with respect to the driveways of these duplexes opening out onto South Ridge Way, which is the main thoroughfare into the two neighborhoods in particular. Whereas the distinction between that and Liberty Ridge and some of the other things is that those tend to open out onto, I'm not sure, I think it's Liberty Ridge Drive and also Jacobs Mill Pond Road. So those are the main additional concerns, and I'll yield the rest of my time back, unless you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'm Joseph Campbell. I live in South Ridge Way as well. And Mr. Holcomb, I think your initial question about the driveways coming out onto that road, as he just mentioned, and the only reason I don't mean to, to pound this issue down too much, but I run that area and walk that area with my dog every single day. And that curve is a pretty significant curve. I think you probably underestimate the curve there if you don't drive it. Mr. Cook, I know you said you've been through South Ridge, and I don't know if you are through Wood Creek. I don't know if you ever accessed that. But being on that road, running and walking, I often take the grass because cars are coming through there, not overly excessively speed, but fast enough. And with that curvature, I think there needs to be some consideration to where they're going to put the driveways. I'm not wholly against the duplexes. I know Maddie and her family, and I think they will do a fine job of putting in whatever they put in. I do think there will be some structural, some integrity to what they do there. But I think accessing South Ridge Way is my concern as a walker and a runner who's out there oftentimes.
What's the speed limit on that road?
20, I think, 20 or 25. I think there's a posted sign there, but it's just a neighborhood sign. I don't even know if there's a city sign, an official sign. So it is fairly slow, but that is a pretty significant curve right there where those trees are.
So your primary concern is traffic, and particularly with the blind curve. Just hypothetically, if they could reconfigure it to have one driveway coming in and out instead of multiple, like, would you feel better about it then, or would you still have the same position?
I think I would feel better about that, but I just don't know that there's the space for that. I'm not the developer, so I don't know that. But I do think that having those vehicles pulling in or backing in on that road has potential for problems.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name when you first came up.
Joseph Campbell.
Thank you. Got it.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public that would like to add to this? Any commission members have any? Oh, good afternoon. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Gary Bell. I'm not going to rehash what my colleagues have already said, but I do want to point out one thing that Doc just said. It is dangerous around there, that curve. I've seen one accident on that road because people coming around that curve, and I've almost gotten into at least 2 accidents since they built that road. When you come, and if they put put those townhouses, duplexes, whatever you call them, if you put them there and somebody parks on the street, it's going to make it even more dangerous. Okay.
Can we bring the site plan back up?
quick question for staff. How much are we allowed to, I guess, restrict or suggest, for example, where the driveway is located or any type of, I guess, anything related with the actual, how the properties are situated or developed?
The commission can, if you've heard from the residents and you have some concerns, the commission can definitely suggest conditions that they would like to be considered on the site plan. I think it would be appropriate to ask the applicant to come back up to see if there's a way that since they've heard all of the discussion from the neighborhood, whether or not they feel that there's a way that they can address some of their concerns.
Thank you.
Similar question. Is it within our purview to deny a project that's been approved by staff based on property values?
Not based upon property values or, if you're going to go down that road, you need to be able to, we would advise you to hang your hat on items that have been discussed that you really feel this site plan is going to hinder or something in the ordinance from a technical standpoint that this site plan does not meet.
That's what I needed to know. Thank you.
I have a few questions for the applicant,
I do too.
I think I would first start with saying we've typically been supportive of, I think, in the last few years, just about everything you all have brought to us. This particular one, and I'm just one vote in this mix, I struggle to support really I'm struggling to see where this was ever the intent of what was supposed to be here. And then the safety factor on top of that, I've been on that road. Nobody drives 20 or 25 miles an hour. And I've experienced that firsthand in a car, not just walking. If the entry points were on one of the other streets or, there was just a much greater sensitivity to how you come in and out of it and make something that when you're pulling in, kind of achieves more of what I think was the overall intent would be easier to support. Backing out onto this road, I think would really, to Commissioner Holcomb's point, if this was a state road, this would never get approved with the site distances. And this hairpin, this turn here, I think really represents a pretty hefty safety concern, at the peak hours of the day. I don't want to shoot you down so that you don't have a project, but I think you could do it better.
So we looked at a different way before. Like I said, we had 18 units and they had rear-facing garages with a private alley that they accessed in the back. More units, they still front-face Southridge. You would still, I believe, have to have some sort of parking situation for them up front, typical kind of that patio home style. But I lived in Southridge. I've lived in the Ridge. I don't know what the city's regulations are when it comes to speed bumps or when it comes to things like that. Like I said, it's already supposed to be a very slow road. I know that we planned on installing sidewalks. On our sketch plan, it ends at the last unit. It could go into Wood Creek and tie in. That wouldn't be a problem for us. I don't know. Like I said, we tried it the other way, and we wanted to decrease density and use a little bit bigger product, make it a little nicer. I I can't speak on the safety thing. I drive that road all the time. The only people that I, feel like should be using it, and people use whatever they want to use, but is people that live in Southridge and the Ridge, or maybe that don't want to wait at the stoplight at the main entrance. Probably 95% of people, though, go to the main entrance. Or they use the back road, they use the frontage road where the other stoplight is before it, where all the road improvements have been done.
My main concern on that too is not so much the residents, but the visitors or the Amazon trucks or the people that maybe are in a hurry unless, presented with some blind spots that just could be pretty catastrophic if someone was backing out into that.
Have the 18 approval? The rear facing? Okay.
Yes, the applicant is asking about the previous plan that was approved. The previous plan had one ingress along Commons and one ingress, I believe, on Commons and egress along South Ridge with rear access. And that plan was approved by the Planning Commission last year.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you had 18 units when that product was approved. And have you tried something similar with rear access, rear parking, rear garages with 12 units to see if that would work? I mean, I see a lot of excess space here, and I recognize your depth is limited due to the water quality buffer. And I'm sure you have stormwater detention in there somewhere. But I see a lot of land directly behind the first two. Of course, it's encumbered with easements, but you can park on easements, you can drive on easements, things like that. I agree with Harris. I think that there's got to be a better way to do this.
I mean, I don't do anything vertical. So when it comes to like builder preferences, I kind of get, we do a design, we pass it off, we get their feel. Sometimes their preferences surprise me. Sometimes I don't, like I said, I don't do anything vertical. So things that, scare them, I would never think it'd be an issue. And that's a big reason we switched, was they did not want to have that like lower level garage. It's a big cost, it's a big warranty issue, it poses problems. So we tried to do something where we didn't have to do a basement entry. Basement entry is also harder to sell. We're not trying to target, certain age groups, but, we're not aiming, these are not starters. They're not top, they're not top of the line, but a lot of people can't afford top of the line. We're trying to find something that people of all ages can afford, and going upstairs to get into your house is a turnoff for a lot of different people. So there were a lot of selling factors that came into why we changed. As a developer, that's a cheaper site plan for us to develop. Having not to deal with the topo, having, not to bring in dirt. We were, we had a huge hauling of dirt proposed here. It would raise the site, level it out. It would actually look really pretty, but it doubled our cost, but it was worth it.
The point that I'm going to continually come back to is if these are older people or whatever age purchasing these homes, backing out into that road the way this is designed is problematic for me.
Yeah. And we can't see the topography. I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's just to echo the same comment. You had a better way, and I think there's obviously a better way than this. So.
Okay,
If you could reduce the number of driveways to half, if you could share driveways in some way.
Well, we are. I don't think we can do it anymore, because I don't think we can fit like a front alley, like necessarily. I think you'd have to have it in the back.
Yeah.
I also think it would probably look strange to have like your roadway and then a little bit of, common area or whatever you want to call it, right of way, and another little road.
I've seen it. You can see it right on South Beltline. And that's a DOT highway, and that's what they had to do, you know, because you
Off
can't.
the front.
Yeah, I mean, you can't back out into roads typically, so,
Okay, no, I understand.
I don't know. I hear everybody's concerns, including yours.
Nope, I understand. Like I said, we can look back at the 18-unit rear-facing garage. I thought it was really pretty, and I thought it looked more inner city. And see if there's a buyer out there that wants it.
One more question. So you would not be building these homes, right? You're developing lots.
That's right, yeah, we don't do anything vertical.
So the architecture for each of these could be somewhat different, or are they going to all be basically the same? Or is that up to the builder?
It's up to the builder. Normally, we have to submit, we did submit elevations. We always have to with preliminary plat approval. But ultimately, we normally start the HOAs and start the ARC and until it's built out. So we do control the presentation, you know, and what the builders are allowed to do up until they're done.
As long as it's within the parameters of the elevations you submitted to the city, then,
Right, yeah, they're supposed to do what they've submitted.
yeah. Okay.
Got something if, so one of my concerns, I guess, is the timing of some of this public comment. Like, it looks like most of them came in today and yesterday. So I guess I would just maybe suggest, like, when reworking it, to like try to engage the neighborhood, because they obviously have very strong feelings about some of these issues. I don't know how we can get over the property value thing, but the driveway thing, for instance, I think that's something that is addressable.
Yeah, I'd like to also just, while I'm sympathetic to the values part, I also think you should be able to develop the property. I just want to see it done in a way where it's got a higher degree of sensitivity to that kind of safety factor and.
No, I understand. And I have no issue, you know, involving the HOA. We have a good working relationship with them, in my opinion. And I think that in the past, it's been hard because some people are negative for no reason, and they lose sight of the project, and, you know, that we all have different goals. And I think recently we've had a really good rapport. This one is so much on the outskirts, it really didn't even cross my mind. But no issues with that.
So I have a question for staff. If we deny this application, can the applicant come back with a new plan? Or would we need to make a motion to defer?
It would be better to defer.
Okay.
Because if you're going to deny the application, you need to make sure that you base it on regulations in the ordinance that this plan does not meet.
Okay. Thank you. Any commission members have any other questions of the applicant or staff?
Just wanted to add, for the record, and, you know, for the applicant, I do struggle with, you know, directing anyone in how they should develop their land, especially when you check everything off the list that you need to get approval. But just consistent with, you know, my deference to community members, as, you know, you all are the ones in the area and you tend to know it better than I do. You know, one thing that I don't like doing is approving or giving approval to projects that people say they are against or that they don't want for whatever reasons. And I think that sometimes there are legitimate concerns that need to be taken into consideration. I think the number of emails that we've received along with the public input today is significant. And because of that, I don't think I can vote for approval today. But as others have mentioned, I think if you were to get together with the community and hear some of the concerns and perhaps incorporate it into your application, I think that there's definitely a big possibility for a project to be located there.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I would just reiterate, just for everyone, I I think it's within your right to want to develop the property. We're here to help facilitate that in a way. There's going to be some things that, along the way, everybody won't be happy, but I think collectively we can defer this and come
That's
back
fine.
with something better.
The city of Columbia, I've said it a million times to, staff, but y'all are the best municipality to work with. It's not unreasonable. I get it, backing out onto Southridge Way, whether it's 20 miles an hour or more, I get it. And we did have another plan, like I said, that I did like, but the people I sell to don't. So, but there is likely somebody out there that does. But I do appreciate you considering deferring.
I would echo, I think we all appreciate your willingness to do that willingly. No more comments. Can we take a motion?
We need a reason to?
No? No, you can defer. Just to have the plan developed in a different way.
Mr. Chair,
Well, okay.
got a motion?
Yeah.
I move that we defer item SPLAT-2026-003, South Ridge Way, TMS number 28800-0103, to a later date.
Got a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any additional business?
Is that it?
Don't worry about it. Do we have any other business?
We do.
Okay.
Let's see, let me get past this one that was deferred. So I guess firstly, I'd like okay. I guess we're doing the Columbia Compass update. Lita Forth, who y'all know.
We will promise not to get y'all sick. Allergies, cold, whatever. So, you guys have all heard me talk about this, whether it's at training or for those of you who date back to when we last updated the comprehensive plan. That might just
speak
be
up?
Harris.
I can't hear you.
Is this better?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I'm here for your reminder about the comprehensive plan because we are getting ready to do kind of our midterm update. So overall, just a reminder, the comprehensive plan should be kind of that big picture that pulls everything together. All of what we hear from the public during that planning process, what we hear from departments, our priorities for projects, plans, and policies, that all wraps into the comprehensive plan. And who uses a comprehensive plan? Although the correct answer is everyone, I think as Planning Commission members, you guys actually touch the comprehensive plan a little bit more frequently than everyone else, or at least you hear that term, right? You hear about Columbia Compass each month. That doesn't mean that your neighbors and your friends aren't actually talking about it. They just probably don't realize it. So when they're thinking about their priorities for the city, if you guys are talking about whether riverfront development should be more sustainable or how you'd like to see improvements to traffic safety, those are all things that are in the comprehensive plan, and that's because it reflects what we heard from people during that engagement process. City staff, of course, use it when we provide those summaries to y'all for Planning Commission, and we use it for other things as well. And decision makers, you guys, City Council, our other boards and commissions, are regularly looking at it as well. So just a reminder, we have a state that mandates the elements of the comprehensive plan. So here in South Carolina, that used to be 9 elements, those you see before you. Population is really your demographics. The rest are kind of straightforward, and then priority investment is where your kind of all your recommendations live. In 2020, while we were in the process of both COVID and adopting our final draft of the comprehensive plan, the state passed an updated bit of legislation that added resiliency as an element. So that's one of the things we'll be touching with our update. but you guys have seen this logo, Columbia Compass Envision 2036 is our comprehensive plan. And the reason we're talking about it today is because it is time to do that kind of mid-year check. So a couple quick facts looking back. It was an incredibly extensive process. I would say, we had a ton of meetings, we talked with a ton of people, we heard from people, whether it was online surveys, social media, or in person, we did a lot. So that's one of the reasons that it's important to kind of realize that this is why the comp plan is a guiding policy document, right? Like we went through all of this outreach and it's then informing us. And so each of you still kind of hear about it when you get your Columbia Compass e-newsletters that I'm sure you read immediately. You're so excited to see them. But that's one of the ways we're tracking how we're implementing the plan as we go. So one of those things that was also a recommendation of the plan. But like I said, talking to you about it today because it is update time. So we do kind of a mid-year or mid-decade check-in, if you will. And what we'll be looking at is what recommendations have moved forward, what things might we need to revisit, refresh a little bit, and then what shifts in data have we seen. I think we can all think about one thing that has changed a little bit since 2018 to 2020 when we drafted the plan, because our draft was done in March of 2020 and then the world kind of changed on us, right? So when we're taking on this update, and there are other updates that we do kind of not at that midpoint check-in, but this update specifically will be talking about the resiliency update because that's a new element that the state requires. We're doing that temperature check. We're looking at kind of not all the statistics, but thinking about, what might stand out that has shifted from when we pulled that data 2017, 2018 census data a little bit later. We're going to be doing that progress report, and we're looking at things with a long-term lens because this is meant to be a 10-year plan, and it's also meant to be you probably hear the term strategic plan a lot, and often a strategic plan is that short-term plan. So it's not you get a new CEO, you come in and you have a one-year plan to kind of change things. This is meant to be a little bit more evergreen to pull past changes in officials and department heads, all the things. So this one does not include a whole-scale rewrite, and I, for one, am grateful for that. To talk a little bit about those elements that we will be including. So resiliency, and I'll say probably a number of you through your required continuing ed have heard a little bit about resiliency because it's something that the American Planning Association is also really focused on. But really resiliency is about dealing with change. So it's recognizing whether it's an environmental system or a community, how that system adapts, anticipates, and then recovers from change. It's not always hazard mitigation, but the reason that you've got how state law defines it is because specific to the state law for the comprehensive plan, they are focused on hazard mitigation. They're focused on recovery from floods for the most part and natural hazards, so that resiliency outlook there. We do have some statistics that we've started pulling, and we've seen some interesting shifts already. Like I said, we won't be updating everything, but this one is kind of a fun capture. So when we pulled our data in 2017, because census data is a little bit older by the time you get access to it, the mode share for travel to work, we had 22% of citizens were walking to work. But we also only had about 6% in the city of Columbia that were other, and that included working from home. Well, like I said, COVID happened. By the time we're pulling our 2023 estimates, working from home is a separate category, and whether it's us, the state, or the metropolitan statistical area, more than 10% of folks, that's their daily commute. So that is really interesting in and of itself, but what's also interesting is that our travel time to work has actually increased during that time. So why is it taking us longer to get somewhere when probably fewer cars are off the road? And also, why are fewer of us walking? Because a lot of that mode share we attribute to students. So are fewer of them walking to class and now they're all driving? So, food for thought. One of the other things, and this is probably a little bit more straightforward and easy to kind of think through, we have been keeping a list of future land use updates. So sometimes when we come with a zoning map amendment, you might see, hey, that doesn't quite make sense, and this might have actually been one of them. We have a future land use that's dedicated to transportation and utilities, and when we annex this property, we have to advertise separately that the right-of-way needs to be a different future land use, and we just kind of didn't get there. It happens, and so part of I-20 is actually has a future land use of urban edge residential small lot. Doesn't really make sense. So we'll just kind of tie up those loose ends while we're going through this process as well. And then the implementation tracking is a really big part of this, right? So I wanted to give you all a couple of examples because we've done this for area plans. We've also done it for the comprehensive plan over time. We do have some things that are complete that were one-offs, but a lot of our recommendations are actually more ongoing recommendations because they speak to what the city and the community need as a whole and kind of these broader themes. So one that's complete, and I hope you've all read it because it's really good. Our historic preservation folks and Historic Columbia worked with a national consultant that did a great job looking at the economic benefits of preservation in the city. This came out in late 2023. It's fascinating the amount of money that has really brought to our community. So it's a great report. We can check that as complete. What's always going to be ongoing for us is we know that as we expand our Greenway network, we're going to need to acquire that land. We're going to need to think about access. We're not going to just go out once and buy all this right away and then sit on it for 20 years, right? So this is one of those that's in progress. The picture on the background of that is from the I-277 River Drive right-of-way charrette, where the city has acquired right-of-way. So we've completed that section, but we've got a long ways to go, right? So really, schedule-wise, to just make y'all aware, spring and summer, we're going to be meeting with departments. We're going to be talking to staff, making sure that, where our implementation has gone. We're going to be updating our data. During the summer and fall is really when we're going to kick in the public engagement. Draft USA is not the country, it's the urban service area. It's what you hear about every time Andrew and Colette bring you an annexation. So we're going to be updating the urban service area every 5 years. That was also a recommendation of the plan, along with the plan update. And then we're going to be hoping to hit review and approval of the document this winter. So that would be y'all making a recommendation to council like you do with any land use plan or zoning amendment. And then they would vote on it with a first and second reading. So where y'all come in, and I think I just kind of wanted to leave you guys with this because it's really the meat and potatoes, right? No matter what your charge is, and even if you're not thinking about it regularly, you should be thinking about the comprehensive plan when you're serving in this role. It's not just zoning map amendments, which is probably where you hear about the most often, but our zoning text amendments too. Your findings, Carlos, you asked about kind of those decision standards. Often those decision standards in the UDO reference the comprehensive plan. So that's a good way to be kind of aware of the comprehensive plan and utilize that in your planning commission roles. It's also mandated by state law that you do. So it's not just our ordinance, kind of a requirement. Like I said, once it goes to y'all, it'll go to city council. And then just a kind of a transition into our new director speaking to y'all, we will be probably bringing in the future, whether it's adoption of smaller plans, you guys have heard like we did Reaching Riverbanks, the Sharing the Road Comprehensive Safety Action Plan that we're working on for roadway safety, which obviously people are concerned about. That should be coming to y'all when that plan is wrapped up later this year. We adopt those as addenda to the comprehensive plan. We also take on studies related to new trends or needs as the city has them. So actually before we adopted Columbia Compass, we updated the land use element by itself because that was a need as we went into the UDO rewrite. And then sooner than you can blink, we'll be at the 10-year update time too. So you'll hear from me throughout this process, but about other things as well. And really just kind of a heads up, and I can answer any questions you have.
Thank you for sharing that. Are there going to be additional sessions that be to the public or for us to attend?
Yeah, so we're not expecting to like whole scale update the recommendations. I think it was on one of the slides, but we have 125 recommendations. We're not looking to write 125 more, but there will be public engagement sessions probably late spring, early summer, where we can talk about some of the things that have been implemented, some of the tweaks we might need to make, things we're hearing back from folks. And I'll be kind of touching base with y'all. I think, like Harris, you might have been the only one that was here, but when we did Columbia Compass, there were occasional work sessions that I would kind of come to every 3 months or so before Planning Commission. We tend to find y'all are easier to snag on other business than during work sessions before the meetings. So you'll probably hear from me then.
This is great. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Time goes quick.
So now we get to introduce Justin, our new director.
Hi, I'm Justin Steinman. I'm the new Director of Planning and Development Services. Just wanted to say hello, meet you all. I come from Chattanooga most recently. I've been a planner for about 25 years or so. So I'm feel incredibly fortunate to be here, have an amazing staff, as you all know. One thing I did want to follow up on as far as thinking about the comp plan and updates to the comp plan is, right now the update is focused on the resilience element and updating population demographics, other stuff like that. Something I've kind of come to realize is there are some other areas of the comp plan. Housing is one in particular that I think may need some extra focus. And so that's something that we're in some discussions about internally about maybe having a separate thread of comp plan updates that, Lee continues to work on that core stuff that we're required to do by the state, but there's some other things that, especially since COVID have happened, we've seen some major changes in our economy and in how we're growing, and that we want the comp plan to really be, to the greatest extent possible, that plan that brings all those pieces together, right? And that any department of the city or our partners can look towards that plan and understand what our strategy for the next 15 and 20 years is. So that's really all I had, but I'm happy to answer any questions or if you have any.
Glad
What
you're
are
here.
you, oh, you go.
Go ahead.
What are you most excited about for the city of Columbia being relatively new here?
What am I most excited about?
Yeah.
I think this is, it feels like a city whose time is here, things are really happening. There's a lot of growth occurring. And as a planner, it's really exciting one of the things we dread as planners is working on plans and having nothing come of them. And so the opportunity to see things like the riverfront and a lot of new development in support of growth at our many universities and just all the people who are moving to the Midlands is really exciting.
I'm also most excited for the Riverfront Park.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you.
All right, thank you all.
All right. Is there any other business? Take a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chair, I motion we go home and adjourn the meeting.
Got a motion, can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone.